You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Gary Harris Show for this Thursday, August 22, 2024. I'm your host, Gary Harris. And we are ready to rock and roll with Chase Brumfeld right there in the control room. He is taking your phone calls on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline 205-342-9904. We got another good show on tap for you today. Plenty of good interviews coming up. We'll run down that for you here in just a second. First, though, I need to tell you, as always, this hour of the Gary Harris Show being brought to you by my good friends at Alabama Credit Union. In fact, I ran into some folks from the Alabama Credit Union last night, including CEO Steve Swafford over at Billy's Sports Grill there in beautiful downtown Northport. I ran over to grab a bite of dinner after the early news, and they were in there and got to visit with them. And, man, just continue to be humbled and privileged to be associated with Alabama Credit Union. In addition to being a member, they are also a key sponsor, obviously. They bring you the first hour of the Gary Harris Show. Discover the heart and soul of our member-owned credit union, empowering our members, enriching our community. That's what we're all about. Find out more at alabamacu.com. That's alabamacu.com. Alabama Credit Union. Loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership. Then join today and feel good about your money. And put a little extra change in your pocket. All right, here's the lineup for today. It is a good one. 9:30, the coach, Ellis Johnson, will be in for his weekly visit as we talk some SEC football here on the program. Then at 10 o'clock, our high school football previews continue, and high school football cranks up tonight with several week zero games that I'm going to tell you about here in just a little bit, and, of course, a full schedule tomorrow night. But the head coach of the Brookwood Panthers, Chris Foster, trying to get football rebuilt there at Brookwood. He is a former player, has a very successful track record as a head coach, coming back to his high school alma mater to try to turn things around. We'll visit with Chris Foster at 10 o'clock. Then at 10:30, it's Jeff Spiegel, longtime sports anchor and host of The Zone on ABC 3340. So looking forward to that. We're not going to do headlines this morning. We're going to jump on into some phone calls here pretty quickly. Do want to mention the Braves lost a tough one last night to the Phillies 3-2. And, boy, I tell you, even without their bats, they could have pulled to within 5 games of the Phils had they won that one last night. And they had every opportunity to win it, but they came up short. So they dropped back to 7 games behind the fighting Phils in the NL East. And Bama football-wise, practice again today. Kalen DeBoer will meet with the media this morning after practice. Yesterday it was the offensive coaches and offensive players, including Nick Sheridan, the offensive coordinator. Caden Proctor had media availability. We've got some of the Nick Sheridan sound that we'll get to if we have an opportunity this morning. All right, let's go ahead and jump out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline at 205-342-9904. And Corey from over in Trussville is going to lead us off this morning. Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Gary. How are you this morning?
Doing well.
Well, I'm excited about high school football starting.
Me too.
That Grayson-Thompson matchup is probably the biggest one today.
Absolutely.
I'm interested to see who wins that. Even though Grayson probably has more talent, it is hard to win at Thompson. I wouldn't be surprised if Thompson won.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, listen, Grayson's loaded. Grayson out of Georgia is loaded, but so is Thompson now. Let's don't sell Thompson short on the talent side of things too. They're loaded. They're at home. I'm picking Thompson to win that game tonight. I really, really am. But that's one of the big Thursday night games, and there's games scattered around the state. I'll go ahead, since you brought it up, and mention some games here locally for us right here in Tuscaloosa tonight. American Christian is at Tuscaloosa Academy. That's a huge game. Fayette is at Gordo. That's a huge game. Corner is at Winfield. Tuscaloosa Christian hosts Jacksonville Christian tonight. So those are some of the games here locally that we'll be watching, and I'll have highlights from those games tonight on WVUA 23 News at 10. Take it back over, Corey. I just wanted to go ahead and play those games.
Well, and tomorrow, I can't really think of any big games tomorrow. I mean, I'm not in the Birmingham area, so I don't really know any. I mean,
well, we've got some big ones here in Tuscaloosa, but I know what you mean. The week 0, when they first put that in, there were about as many teams that didn't play as did play. So you didn't really have a full schedule, and what would happen is some teams would play and then take a bye, and a lot of teams would wait till week 1 and play those 10 straight weeks. And but now most people play week 0, and they either take a bye about halfway through, or sometimes they play 10 straight weeks and they take their bye the week before the playoffs, hoping that they make the playoffs and have that bye week. And if they don't make the playoffs, their season's over a week early. But week 0 has kind of morphed in, and I hate that term because it messes me up, because it's like it's week 0, but for my high school football show, it's actually week 1. So I always have to kind of, remember that hey, it's week 2, but it's week 3 of Football Friday kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree. Let me ask you this: on Alabama football, do you think Alabama's schedule balances out pretty well? I mean, and the reason why I say that is you get 2 warm-up games before you go to Wisconsin. You get a bye week before you play Georgia, and then you get a couple more with South Carolina and Vanderbilt before you play. I think you play Tennessee. Homecoming with Missouri. I know it's a tough Missouri game, but it's at home. Then you get LSU. You get a bye week. Then you play LSU. And then you get Mercer before you play Oklahoma. And then you get the Iron Bowl. So
you just ran it. You did a good job of running through it. I do think it balances out well. I think that's a good term. Now, I think it's a tough schedule. I think, first of all, a lot of teams have 8 home games. Alabama only has 7. So Alabama has 5 road games, as opposed to a lot of schools that only have 4 because they play the game at Wisconsin. But I think you have a good phrase, balanced out well. Western Kentucky and South Florida at home to start the season. Then you go to Wisconsin. Then you catch the bye. Then you have a home game against Georgia. And then you hit a stretch of games where it's going to be tough. I mean, you're going to play 5 straight SEC games without a bye. Nobody else does that, or play 5 straight SEC games. Some teams either have a bye or they have a non-conference game. Alabama plays Georgia, at Vanderbilt, at home against South Carolina, at Tennessee, and at home against Missouri before they get to their second bye. That 5-game stretch is going to be tough. 5 straight SEC games in 5 weeks. Then you get to bye. And then you close it out at LSU, at home against Mercer, at Oklahoma, which I think is going to be a really tough game on November 23rd, and then at home for the Iron Bowl. So, yeah, I think there's good balance to the schedule, Corey, as you called it. At the same time, I think that schedule is underrated in the sense that we always talk about Georgia and some of these other tough schedules. But Alabama's that's a really tough schedule. When you figure you play 5 teams in the top 25 from the SEC, plus you go to Wisconsin, it's going to be a grind now.
And the key is going to be having depth, because there will be injuries to this team. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The injuries will happen now. To who, we don't know. And hopefully it's not to the wrong people. But if we're healthy in certain areas, that'll go a long way to determine how good this team will be.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt, but that's every team. So far during fall camp, Alabama's had really good, been really fortunate with not having very many injuries. Jaden Roberts had a little surgery with his hand, but he should be back ready to go for the opener against Western Kentucky. So, yeah, injuries play a big part for every team. And I do think that with the portal, there are more depth questions than there used to be for everybody because you don't retain players the way you once did. But I think Alabama's a really well-conditioned team. I think the training staff with Jeff Allen, I think the strength and conditioning staff with David Ballou do a marvelous job, do an incredible job of keeping Alabama healthy and also conditioning them for the grind of a 12-game season plus, then as many potentially as, 15 or even 16 games. So, but they'll want to stay healthy if they can. And if they can't and somebody goes down, you hope that you have quality depth there. That's for sure.
Week one, you got Miami, Florida, you got Clemson, Georgia, USC, and LSU, and then let's see, what am I missing here? Am I missing anything else?
I'm not looking at the schedule right now, but you rattled off a few of them. But there's.
I was trying to think of some big games.
Yeah.
There probably are some games that we're not talking about.
Oh, sure, and we'll get more into them. We'll get more into them next week because that'll be, like you said, be week one. As we have mentioned, there's enough on the menu this weekend to at least whet your appetite. Obviously, the morning kickoff over in Dublin with Florida State and Georgia Tech is a game on ESPN that a lot of people are going to be watching. A lot of people are going to be watching that game. But there's a couple of other games. SMU's at Nevada on Saturday night on CBS Sports Network. That's a game that'll have some eyeballs. And New Mexico, which is scheduled to play Auburn this year, hosts Montana State on FS1. And then late that night, you've got Delaware State at Hawaii. So there's a few games this weekend, and then next week, obviously, you get into week one, and as you said, I pulled it up now. Some of the big games next week, obviously, Clemson at Georgia to me is the biggest game. I think that's you got the number one team against Dabo Swinney and the Tigers. Just a few miles between these two campuses. I think Penn State at West Virginia is a big game. I don't know. I'm kind of going through it here. What was the game that you mentioned?
Oh, I forgot Texas A&M and Notre Dame.
Yeah, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Miami at Florida. Big games there. I'm going through them now, just trying to, for next weekend, pull up some. But I think we've hit on them. There's not going to be too many what you would call blockbuster games in week one. But, yeah, Notre Dame at A&M is a big one. That's for sure. I think we've hit on it pretty well.
Do you see any potential upset potential in any of those? Yeah,
I think. Well, even this, I know a lot of people are picking Florida State to blow them out. I think that Saturday there's upset potential. I think Georgia Tech's a lot of guys back from last year. I think Florida State is an upset alert. Getting into next Saturday, I'll put Georgia on upset alert. I'm not saying they're not, I'm not picking them to lose, and I'm not going to pick them to lose. But that's a game you better be ready to play, because I guarantee you the fighting Dabo Sweeneys are going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. Playing against the SEC, playing against the number one ranked team, people kind of counting out Clemson. Clemson's a quality team, so they better be ready to go. Another game that, I don't know, you'd call it an upset, but Vanderbilt opens at home against Virginia Tech. That could be an L for the Commodores right off the bat. They better be ready there. But I'll break those games down. I'll do my point spread predictions next Friday, and I'll get into that a little more next week. Hey, Corey, got to run, man. Good to hear from you.
Good to talk to you here. Roll Tide.
Thanks you. Let's go ahead and get to Cam before we hit the break, because Cam has been holding, and Cam usually keeps it short and sweet anyway. Good morning, Cam.
Good morning, Governor. How are we doing this beautiful day?
Doing great, and it is a beautiful day. Absolutely.
Man, how do I keep the deer out of my okra bed? This is frustrating.
Are they getting you? Are they hitting you hard?
Yeah.
Yes,
somebody is.
I don't know anything about gardening the way that you do. Do you? What do you do once they find it and get in it? Can you put chicken wire around it, or what do you?
I've already got it. That's what I got. That's what I'm working on. So I guess it's just. And the wife's all organic, so we don't do any pesticides or nothing. Yeah. So we don't do any kind of thing. So it's just kind of spray and pray kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, hey, the pears and the persimmons are coming in, and the figs are on the way out. So that's good, and the squashes are coming. So, we'll take a little bit. But, hey, listen, Gary, I got to correct you on something, brother, and I hate to do this because, you're my hero and stuff.
Go ahead.
And I can respect you, man. But there's no way. You have to be honest with yourself, and you'll be in denial, and it's okay. It's not a river in Egypt, but it happens. But there's no way that sweet tea is better than lemonade. You know that's true. Now, just let it sink in for a second. I know you like your sweet tea, that's fine.
Listen, I like lemonade too.
Look,
I don't want to give
lemonade
anybody
is better. Be it.
And I like an Arnold Palmer too. But if you're saying to me after a round of golf,
you're wrong, Gary,
or a round of golf or something where I'm at a hot and I come in and I've got a choice between lemonade and good sweet. Now it's got to be good sweet tea. I'm going to take
there's
sweet
not
tea.
a bad sweet. Well, I guess there is too. There's unsweet. That's weird.
But,
the wife makes me drink green tea, and that's not bad. But whatever.
I love lemonade.
But look, you haven't had the right lemonade. Now, there's more than life in this country, Tom. You got to have the right lemonade.
No, I agree with you there.
That's here or there.
Well, man, if you ever come over this way, you got to bring me some veggies, and you got to bring me some of your homemade lemonade.
Hey, one more thing, I'll let you go. The wife wanted to go to Ireland for her birthday, March, so we went. Why are they going to Dublin? They don't care about college football over there.
It's all about spreading the brand, dude. It's the global brand.
I guess. But when we were in Dublin, that's the last thing they were. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. All right, let me go.
Real quick before you go, what was that fruit? I've already forgotten. The one that you said was so good.
Pawpaw. Hillbilly mango. It's already passed. Did you get any?
No, I didn't get any.
Oh man. Well, somehow I'll have to get you some. But come on, Bama Nation, support Governor Gary. Get him some pawpaw next year. Y'all know you got some growing. All right, Gary, let me go work the garden, buddy. Roll Tide.
Have fun, man. We got to get to the break. It's 9:18. This hour being brought to you by Alabama Credit Union, and we'll be back with more of the Gary Harris Show right after this on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama sports. As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meet.
Last pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88, the low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky's sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to the Gary Harris Show. For Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:21. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. In about 9-10 minutes or so, we're going to visit with the coach, Ellis Johnson, for his weekly trip around the SEC as we are getting close. We are getting close to college football being back, and it is exciting. As I said earlier, and Corey called in, once again, high school football tonight here in West Alabama. And I'm pumped up about that too. And I'll have some highlights on WVOA 23 News at 10 tonight. We'll have highlights from American Christian Academy at Tuscaloosa Academy, Fayette County at Gordo, Jacksonville Christian at Tuscaloosa Christian, and Grayson, Georgia at Thompson, coming up tonight at 10. Other games that we're going to be keeping an eye on this weekend, of course, for Friday. And these are just some West Alabama games. There's some Birmingham games that we'll be watching as well. But I'm going to run through this West Alabama schedule. Northside hosts West Blockton. Verbina's at Holy Spirit. Southern Academy's at Morgan Academy. Sipsey Valley at Greene County. Holt host R.C. Hatch. Billingsley's at Greensboro. Of course, a big one, our WVOA 23 Football Friday game of the week is Tuscaloosa Central at Tuscaloosa County. Bibb County hosts Chilton County. That's a rivalry game. North River Christian is at home against East Central. Hillcrest hosts Florence. Hale County's at Pickens Academy. Jasper's at Brookwood. South Lamar hosts Lamar County. Rivalry game there. Linden is at Fultondale. Demopolis is at home against Mountain Brook. Northridge travels over to Calera. Paul W. Bryant hosts Percy Julian. Aliceville's at home against Pickens County. Rivalry game there. So a lot of good games coming up for this week 0 of high school football, which begins tonight. Of course, coverage on WVUA 23 Football Friday tomorrow night at 10:30. And as I mentioned yesterday, Tide 100.9 has tons of high school football coverage coming up every week. Tuesday nights, the Hillcrest Huddle from 6 until 7. Thursday night, coming up tonight, the High School Pigskin Preview, hosted by Martin Houston from 7 until 8 p.m., and then the Venue High School Football Preview from 8 until 8:30. Then the Friday Night Scoreboard Show with Wyatt Fulton. 9:30 to 10:30 is what the tentative time is listed at. I assume they'll be. Do you know if they firmed that up yet, Chase?
I do not.
Okay, I'll check with Wyatt on that. But we'll have the high school football scoreboard show tomorrow night. Right now, they've got it down for 9:30 to 10:30. But I know Wyatt was trying to confirm that time. But we will check on that. So as excited as I am for college football, again for me, I've been covering. Well, of course, went to high school, dude. High school football. But as someone that covers the game as a broadcaster. 1982 was my first season covering high school football. So you do the math. That's a lot of high school football seasons. That's a lot of going out to high school football fields and hosting shows and, seeing great players. And so it's a very, very important part of, what I am as a sportscaster. And I know it's very, very important to this, this state and these communities. And so it is back. One tidbit, too, on Alabama. As I said, Kalen DeBoer is meeting with the media. The practice is not open, but Coach DeBoer is going to be in there at 11:45 for a media session. And then on Monday, we're going to start with the regular game week protocols for Alabama football. Press conferences, it'll be game week. So that's something to look forward to as well. All right, I was on another show this morning. I do a show out of Memphis, Sidelines Live, every Thursday morning before I do my show. And I was asked a question, Chase, and it was a good question. I had to think about it for a minute. It said, you cover the team. What is one thing that people don't know, but they're going to find out about Alabama football? I said, oh, my gosh, that's a tough question. And I didn't want to think about who'll be the right tackle or that kind of thing. So I thought about it for a moment, and I said, here's what I think people don't know, but they're going to find out, because there's so much discussion about the coaching transition and Nick Saban retiring after 17 years, and a lot of people expect Alabama to drop off. I think what they're going to find out is that Alabama football, now there'll be some schematic changes, and, they're going to be doing some different things, but Alabama football this first season under Kalen DeBoer is not going to look a lot different than what it looked like under Nick Saban. And what I mean by that is Alabama's going to be good. Alabama's going to be really good. Get used to it. I think that's what you're going to find out, is you're going to watch this team and you're going to say, wow. And I'm saying this more to the people who are saying that Alabama's going to drop off. If you feel like Alabama's going to be really good, this doesn't really apply to you. But I think there are a lot of people that are picking Alabama football to not be the same type of program that it's been, and that there is going to be a drop-off. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see Alabama come out of the gate fast against Western Kentucky and against South Florida. And I think you're going to say, man, this team, I think the transition is going to be smooth. I think that there's not going to be, there'll be a few growing pains, but I don't think there's going to be the big hitch or the big drop-off that some people are predicting. I think that Alabama football is, you're going to find this out as the season goes on, is a team competing for a spot in the college football playoff and a spot not just in the college football playoff, but in that top four, and to get the bye and then go on and have an opportunity to play for the national championship. I think that's what you're going to see from Alabama football in 2024, and some people may not believe it, but they're going to find out. All right, that's going to do it for the segment. Real quick mention about the YMCA of Tuscaloosa. Right now, until September 30th, no joining fee. You can join for free. Just sign up, get joined up, and get to working out. And all personal training packages, 10% off until the end of September. So if you've been thinking about personal training, now's the time. You can do it as a solo or a duo package Find out more at the YMCA 2300.
Need to get ready for a fall refresh. Get your home crisp, clean, and ready for the season with the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Free delivery on over 2 million items, subject to availability.
Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good time.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
The best place for your high school football coverage is right here on Tide 100.9 and online on Tide100.9.com.
Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show, and it's time for the coach, Ellis Johnson. The countdown to kickoff is on. We've got week 1 next weekend, but we've got a few games coming up week 0. Not many, but we do have a big one over in Dublin, Ireland, between number 10 Florida State and Georgia Tech from the ACC. We'll ask Coach about that here in just a couple of minutes. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. Doing okay.
Good to have you on. And as a coach, I want to get, we've been talking about some things that go on in fall camp. And, we talked about the 4-2-5 defense that Alabama's transitioning to. But at this point, when you're a coach and you've been through fall camp and school starts back and you're not quite in game week mode yet because game week's next week, but you've still got several practices, but it's changing. What's that like? Take us inside the lines as a coach when you've been through a tough fall camp. Now you're kind of zeroing in on playing a game, but I'm sure you don't want the guys to get ready too early. You want to bring them along at the right time, knowing that they're biting at the bit to hit somebody else. What's the challenge when you get, where you're 9 days away from your first game?
Well, everybody can handle their situations differently, so there's no blueprint for it. But this, for the most part, everybody is transitioning from the good on good and the scrimmaging and so forth into the scout team looks. And frankly, I don't think you can start too early unless you're fundamentally not very good, and you have to spend more time on the fundamentals and the contact and the good on good. But they're starting to do a little bit of scout work and give other teams look for the upcoming opponent. The biggest thing structurally or organizationally that takes place is deciding who that 2 deep is and who needs to be getting reps, getting ready for the opponent, and who's got to go over and be the opponent in the scout team. And they'll be sort of half and half there for a while. They'll still keep some competition, between the first team, maybe in Pascal, and then the O-line, D-line will always work one-on-one pass rush with each other. Some teams hit a little bit more going into the season than others. But it is that 2 or 3, 4 or 5 day in there, different coaches handle it different ways, where you transition from working against each other to this group's now got to be Georgia or this group's got to be Alabama. We've got to get our guys ready for the game.
Coach, of course, this could apply, I guess, to the whole transition of going back to spring ball, but is there any difference when you're on a coaching staff that's an established coaching staff that's returning, let's say, with just a couple of changes, as opposed to a brand new staff coming in? You've been in both those situations. Do you coach differently getting ready for the first game when you're a new staff as opposed to a staff that's returning? Is that silly to even ask, or are there differences?
Well, you don't mean to coach differently, but it's not a bad question at all, because there are going to be some loose ends that are going to come up with a group that's never worked before. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about a new coaching staff that comes in and putting it all together. You could have 2 coaches leave on a staff and come in, and you don't really miss a beat.
Right.
Because the system's in place, and most of the things from practice organization to points of emphasis, whatever, they're already in place. It amounts to those guys coming in the door, merging in, and fitting into the system. And it's not bad to have some fresh change, too. They come in with some ideas, here's something we've done in the past. May want to look at doing this. But when you come in as an entirely new staff, maybe take over a program with a new head coach and he hires guys, even some of those guys, they didn't work with him where he came from. So it is a little bit different. Now, you get a good experienced group of coaches, and it's not that many rough edges, but it is a lot different. When you've got a group coming back of coaches that have all worked together, and even a lot of your support staff, it just makes it so much easier. They're one step ahead. You need certain things on certain days from your grad assistants and your analysts and so forth. And if they've been together in that system for a while, it runs like clockwork. If not, you've got to have extremely good organization and get all those things, set up, and everybody knows exactly what's expected from them on day one.
You answered that well. That's exactly what I wanted to find out from you. We'll get into the first week games next week, of course, obviously in the SEC. But for Alabama, I'll give you a couple examples. Obviously, Georgia's going to open up against Clemson. Clearly, they're going to be dialed in. I mean, that's a huge game to open with. And then Auburn's got Alabama A&M, which is a game which, quite frankly, I mean, Auburn could play poorly and win that game. And then there's Alabama opening against a team like Western Kentucky, which doesn't have the pizzazz of Clemson, but is a good enough team, even though the fans won't see it this way. And they've got a quarterback in TJ Finley who's played a lot of college football at a lot of different places. They've got a good offensive system. How dangerous is a game like that? Because if you're playing one of those marquee games, your players are going to be dialed in. And if you're playing a team that you just totally overwhelm, you don't have to really worry about it from a standpoint of the talent level is going to be such a difference. But this is a dangerous team in Western Kentucky that could give you some problems if you're not ready to go. I get a feeling as a coach, these are probably one of the hardest type of games to coach in.
They can be, and it can be a little bit of a distraction. My experience is the lack of focus with players coming into an opener like that. It's more the off-season preparation and maybe their preseason practices, whether they're really kind of jacked up and focused every day. You can kind of tell when they come into meetings every day, even 3 or 4 weeks before you kick it off. They come in with their lights kind of turned on, ready to go when they get ready to open up against a Georgia. But, if you're opening up against a smaller school or something of that nature like you're describing, sometimes the kids are not, it's just not that electricity in there when you day-to-day mundane things. And that can be dangerous because you're losing time in preparation and focus, and it can sneak up on you. Now, most of the time, once you put those traveling clothes on and take them to the hotel and all that, start eating your pregame meals and have a couple of pregame meetings and so forth, the lights come on then. Everybody knows it's just about time to get in the gate and we're getting ready to go. So you don't really have that kind of a letdown that 24 hours, 48 hours before the game, no matter who they're getting ready to play. It's a game time and it's just different for players. But you could have lost some valuable time if you didn't have great preparation. The other thing is coaches are not only concerned about winning that game, they don't want to come out of it with injuries, of course. And I think sometimes injuries happen the most when players aren't dialed in, playing 100%. That's when sometimes these bad injuries occur. And also when you get through the game, whether you won by 10 or you won by 110, did you get better? Mm-hmm. Because the next week is not Western Kentucky. The next week may be Tennessee. You better be a better football team when you come off that field than you were when you started.
For all of these teams in the SEC, you're going to have to deal with success. You're going to have to deal with disappointment. But I really found some interesting comments from Eli Drinkwitz this week because of what he's dealing with at Missouri. You're dealing with raised expectations coming off a great year. A lot of people picking you to, have a chance to make the college football playoff, possibly even get to Atlanta for the SEC championship game. But he said something this week. He said, you know what, if we're going to be this kind of program and we're going to be a top-tier program, then we have to act like a top-tier program, and our fans have to act like a top-tier program. And what he was challenging the fans were to do is don't look at the schedule and wait for when we're playing, Tennessee or Alabama or Georgia. If we're a top program, you're going to turn out for this opener against Murray State. You're going to come to see Missouri play. That's the challenge now, is not cherry pick the schedule, but come out to watch us play and treat us like we are a top 10 program. I thought that was really interesting that, we're challenging our players, we're challenging our coaches. I want to challenge the fans. If we're the kind of program that you're trying to say that we are, then we'll have a full stadium for that opener against Murray State.
Yeah, what a great point. And it's something, a coach knows how to build that chemistry and that culture within his locker room and his team. Trying to do it with your fan base and your supporters and even your administration in the university. That's not been the culture throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to build it, and he needs more than just himself. But I think it's a perfectly targeted statement for a program like a Missouri, who's had those bright spots and big days. I think a lot of people forget those guys played the first two championship games when they came into the SEC.
They sure did.
Yeah, they hit the ground running. I don't think they won either one, but they were there. It's a program that's had its highlights, but it's well stated. I mean, if you want to be consistently at the top and you want to be considered that way, and, if you're supporting this program, then don't sit back and wait for the first two games and then decide, hey, we're going to be good again this year, and start showing up. Start showing up from the beginning. And it's a little bit different, but it's a very similar message to the players you're recruiting when you bring them in there. If you're coming here, come here with that intention if you expect us to be that.
These week 0 games, and there aren't many, but there are a couple that I want to ask you about. Obviously, the big one is Florida State against Georgia Tech. All that goes into that game, in that both teams are flying. I think they flew out yesterday. Might have gone out on Tuesday, but I know they went out no later than yesterday. You're going to Dublin, Ireland. It's an event over there more than it is a football game, because still, you're in Europe. Football to them is soccer, and it's, college football is trying to build a base over there and expand the brand, but it's more of an event. You're out of the country. How big a challenge is that for you as a coach to understand, this is a trip, this is special, this is something, but it's a football game on Saturday that we got to play. You got to adjust to the time difference. What goes into, maybe you didn't, you may not have ever made one of those trips. Not many coaches have, but I imagine that's even more difficult to keep the team focused when you're going across, the pond and playing in another country, another continent.
I would find out who put that on the schedule and have them assassinated. Probably why I was a crappy head football coach, but things like that used to irk the crap out of me, Gary. I don't understand this. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Maybe take some smaller schools over there. It'd be a great opportunity for them. They don't get to go to bowl games and stuff, and I just don't know. But I would hate to be involved in this, but if you got to do it, the first game is the best time to do it. And you can get over there and you can find absolutely terrible practice environment, the field surface, the locker rooms. I mean, you just don't know. And with all the prior planning and anything else, it can be awful. And then, the game field can be terrible. There's so many things you don't have control of, and it really would be a distraction. And I think not only is it a distraction for the team, possibly, it's a huge distraction for the coaching staff, and that's who's got to handle the focus and make sure they don't lose focus. And if you go over there and you're playing, Hawaii, and they're not very good, that's one thing. You're going over and playing a conference game right off the bat, and you got to get on a plane and fly to Ireland with all these time changes and jet lag and everything else involved. And again, like I said, you don't know what the facilities are going to be like and what the food's going to be like. It can be some things that occur that can really get a football team off key. And I would hate to be involved in it, frankly. I don't understand it. I understand it for TV. I understand it for whoever else is trying to help Ireland or whoever. but I don't understand taking a conference opener over there with two teams. And Georgia Tech's a very improved football
Yes, sir.
team. This will not shock me at all if that's a bad upset.
I got Florida State on upset watch, too. Georgia Tech's got a lot of players back from a pretty good team. Another game, again, there's not much on the schedule, and I wish they were going to do this week 0. They'd give us a few more games to watch, but I think this is an interesting game. SMU, we know, moving into the ACC and Rhett Lashley there, and they've got some high expectations. They go on the road to Nevada, and you're playing out in Reno. Again, a weird week, not many games. It's like, you're playing, but not how many people even know you're playing. I imagine that's a game that, SMU is going to have to be focused and ready to go in, because for Nevada, it's a home game. And it's one of those games where we know SMU's better, but that's kind of an odd one, too, to open on the road at Nevada in your first year moving into the ACC.
Yeah, it's a different reason, but sort of the same distracted preparation of, if you will. But I think, they won a conference title last year, the first one since 1984. And, Rhett was our coordinator at Auburn 2 years I was there, and know him very well. He's done a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of got SMU pointing in the right direction. Right. And it looks like the institution has made a huge commitment to bring that program back. Just look at what they did financially to get the ACC to take them. And so I think he has done a hell of a job, and I'll be surprised if they're not ready to play. And, it is a tough road game for going against a team that should not beat you, but they're good enough to beat you. And it's a trap game, but I think he'll have them ready to go. Well, Coach, we're going to be really ready to go next week. This little tune-up, warm-up, whatever you want to call it, with just a few games this weekend. Next week, we dive full speed ahead in the SEC, and we'll start breaking down some games, and I'm looking forward to it. Sounds good, Gary. Thank you, Coach. All right, Ellis Johnson with us here on the Gary Harris Show. Hey, football season is obviously here, and one way to celebrate it is to look your best for the games, particularly if you're in a fraternity at the University of Alabama. Tom and the good folks at T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery University Mall can help you out. Go over there. They got the classic look with the navy blazer, white button-down shirts, the khaki trousers, the crimson or red tie, belt, shoes, the whole schmear. They can get you hooked up and looking your best. And also, of course, while you're in there, check out that one-of-a-kind Alabama football memorabilia. That's why it's T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery. Some of the best Alabama football paintings, framed and unframed, are available for purchase there in University Mall at T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery. And next Friday, we'll begin our Bama football trivia giveaways, courtesy of T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery. You want to look forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun beginning next Friday. All right, we'll be back with more of the Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM WTBC, the Tide 109 app. Get that app, and Tide109.com. We'll be back after this.
Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure...
Need more balloons!
On it! Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages.
/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88, the low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky's sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
9:51. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. The BMW Championship, the second playoff event for the FedEx Cup Championship, is underway out in Castle Pines, Colorado. And you can imagine with the elevation how far they're hitting the ball. They're hitting it a long, long way. So drives are going to be approaching 400 yards. Alabama has two former golfers still alive in the top 50, and they are Justin Thomas, who tees off this morning at 11:35, playing with Aaron Rai, and then, of course, Nick Dunlap. What a year he's had. He tees off the last twosome of the day with Max Greiserman at 12:40 p.m. Central Time. And already we've got an early leader. Siwoo Kim is 4 under through 7. Wow. So he's cooking. But again, they're hitting the ball out there a long, long way. So we'll keep you updated tomorrow after they get through the first round on where JT and Nick Dunlap are at that time after the first round. You have to, of course, this is the top 50. They're narrow it down to the top 30 for the FedEx Tour Championship coming up at Eastlake in Atlanta. So it's going to be, I think Dunlap's at 47. He's going to have a week again similar to what he had last week up in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship when he finished 5th to advance into the top 50. He's going to have a high finish. I think JT could probably finish in like the top 20 and make it to Eastlake, but that'll be worth monitoring, obviously, with the Alabama contingents there over in Colorado playing this morning. A little slow this morning on the phone lines, man. We had some calls right off the top of the show, but now it's gotten slow. So we're open for phone calls right here in this segment. If you want to give us a ring, we've got a few more minutes. And while we do have a couple of minutes here before we get into our next hour, let's go ahead and run a little bit of Nick Sheridan. I was hoping the phone lines would light up, but they didn't in this segment. So let's get to some comments from the Alabama offensive coordinator meeting with the media yesterday. And first thing that he was asked about was his thoughts on how the second scrimmage went for the offense.
You know, some inconsistencies. I thought there were some great plays. I thought there was a lot of, guys just trying to play each and every snap as hard as they could, despite what, maybe had happened previously. We overcame a couple tough situations. Some, the defense did a great job. And so I was proud of some of the 1-0 mindset that I thought our guys displayed in some challenging situations where we were able to overcome them, and yet I still think there's a lot of room for growth to clean up some of the errors, and certainly give the defense a lot of credit for causing issues, both personnel wise. There's a lot of really good players on defense, and certainly schematically with Kane and his staff, and so there's lots to build on, lots to correct. I thought it was competitive as all the scrimmages have been since I've been here, and probably each side of the ball wishes certain things you did a little bit better, but I think collectively as a team it's been very competitive. I thought it was a very physical scrimmage. I thought the guys hit, and so it's been a good couple weeks of camp and building towards the first game.
All right, that's on the first scrimmage, and it was a very physical scrimmage. We've talked about it, and some of that is you want your players to play until the whistle, and they might have even been playing through the whistle some on Saturday. Here's Coach Sheridan on that.
Yeah, we want to protect the team, and we want to make sure that we have the discipline to do what's best for our team, And when you start to talk about things that occur after the snap, those oftentimes can hurt your team. And so we coach against that for sure. There's an edge that you want to play with. There's a line that you want to be right up against, but we certainly know we want to protect the team and do what's best for the team.
All right. You want to be aggressive, but you don't want to get anybody hurt too. And I've been told that scrimmage Saturday kind of was on the cusp of some stuff going on a little bit after the whistle. All right, let's get to Jalen Milroe's development as a leader.
I think he's just I can't speak to how he was previously. We've only been here for as long as we have, so I just continue to see him just be more and more comfortable in who he is, and being genuine and authentic to who he is. And I think his teammates respect that. They know how hard he works. He's as hard of a working player that I've ever been around. I mean, he's a completely committed and devoted student athlete in all areas. And so I think his teammates respect that. And I think he's becoming more and more comfortable, even in our time here, of using his voice to encourage, to confront, to demand, because he's certainly putting in the time and the work. And so I think he's done a real nice job of that, and we're going to need that, as we continue, both him and Tyler being, leaders on that side of on our side of the ball, them doing a good job leading that group. They've done awesome to this.
All right, there you have it. That is Nick Sheridan. And that is going to wrap it up for the first hour of the Gary Harris Show. Coming up in hour number 2, we're going to get started off with our high school football preview, Brookwood Panthers, with head coach Chris Foster.
Comfortable with Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam. Find your new pair of Skechers safety toe and slip-resistant work shoes at a Skechers store, at Skechers.com, or wherever work shoes are sold.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't
vehicles to serve our clients. Purchase tickets before they sell out at ESWAChampionsball.com. That's ESWAChampionsball.com.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In news from the NFL, the Denver Broncos named Bo Nix as their starting quarterback. He joins Caleb Williams of the Bears and Jaden Daniels of the Commanders as rookie quarterbacks who were first-round picks and named starters for the season opener. In baseball games of note, Yankees get a pair of Aaron Judge home runs, numbers 46 and 47 that leads the major leagues. Juan Soto hit his 36th home run of the year. That's a new career high. He drove in 5 as the Yankees roll over the Guardians 8-1. New York reclaims first place in the AL East. They're a half game up on Baltimore. The Orioles lost to the Mets 4-3. The Mets move a game and a half back of Atlanta for the final wildcard spot in the National League, with the Braves losing to the NL East, leading Phillies 3-2. Twins over the Padres 11-4 in a battle of wildcard teams. San Diego falls 4 games back of LA in the NL West race, with the Dodgers beating the Mariners 8-4 and wrapping up a 3-game series sweep of Seattle. Astros lose to the Red Sox 4-1. Boston remains 3.5 games out of the final wildcard spot in the American League.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Former Alabama basketball player Darius Miles has been denied bond again in the shooting death of 23-year-old Jamea Harris. The court has ordered defense and prosecuting attorneys to prepare for Miles' capital murder trial. Former UA student Gamble Gentry, who's charged with several counts of sexual assault on another UA student, has been released on $60,000 bond. And before Vice President Harris accepts the Democratic presidential nomination tonight, Alabama's 2nd Congressional District Democrat nominee Shamari Figures will address the Democratic convention at 7.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, hour number 2 of the Gary Harris Show right here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for University of Alabama sports. I am your host, Gary Harris. Chase Brumfeld, of course, manning the controls, taking your phone calls on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline at 205-342-9904. Jeff Spiegel coming up at 10:30. More of your phone calls as well, but we're going to kick off this second hour as we continue our high school football previews with the Brookwood Panthers. And first-year head coach Chris Foster is with us this morning on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline. Good morning, Coach.
Morning. How are you doing?
Great to have you, man. You're coming home, but you know we've done some stuff with you on TV. This is my first chance to talk to you on the radio. You had it rolling at Priceville pretty well. Now, I mean, you won 40 games in 5 years, and had an 11-win season, had a 10-win season. And you left there to come home to your high school alma mater, Brookwood, to take over a program that there's no other way to put it, has struggled for many, many years. You're coming home. I know that's a big part, but what went into the decision to leave a program where you had established yourself as a, state playoff contender pretty much every season, to take over a program that's really had a lot of tough luck lately?
Well, for me, I guess the biggest part of the decision was, obviously getting to come home and being close to the area where you grew up. Another part of it, I felt, Brookwood had the right leadership in place in order for the program to, keep getting the resources it needs to be as successful as it can possibly be.
When you look at and you said a lot right there. I know that's very important for a coach to feel like you've got the symmetry and everybody on the same page. But when you look at the football team last year, they didn't get the results, obviously, that they would have liked. The record, you are what your record says you are, is what Bill Parcells said, and the record says that they were 1-9. But you could see some talent. I mean, we covered them. You could see some games where. Obviously, William Sanders signed with Alabama as an offensive lineman, but what's the talent level like? Now, you're in Class 6A, you're in, Region 4, which is tough, but your talent level, where's it at?
Yeah, I feel like athletically, we're as athletic as Brookwood's probably ever been. I played here, but I was also about 5 years ago an assistant on staff, and so I was here for 4 years coaching, was the offensive coordinator and stuff. So I've seen the talent levels kind of rise and fall, and I feel like athletically we are as athletic as the school's ever been. And they were able to. We'll be a young team this year, but they were able to get a lot of. Someone were able to get a lot of experience last year, and I think they are progressing well.
How many guys do you have out?
We got 90 kids out,
wow.
which is the most I've ever seen at Brookwood, and that's due in large part to a huge freshman class. We got 40 freshmen out.
Okay, but you're starting to build it from, the ground up. That's good. Let's talk about the schedule. Obviously, 6A Region 4 speaks for itself, man. It's a great region, even with Hillcrest moving out, but a lot of built-in rivalries there. But I know what you're focused on right now is next Friday, or tomorrow night, I guess I should say. It is next Friday, but it's tomorrow night. And that's that home opener against Jasper. Yeah,
we've been preparing all week for Jasper. I think they got a really good team, got a lot of large linemen, got a back that's probably college ready. He's very talented, and then defensively, they really fly around to the football. So I think they present a tremendous challenge for us.
6A Region 4, as I said, it's a fun region, a lot of good rivalries built in for you. No real long travel trips, even with Hillcrest moving up to 7A. Kind of handicap the region for us and the challenge to try to be one of those top four to get into the 6A playoffs.
Yeah, obviously I think everybody knows Hueytown and has been, in the state finals recently, and they're one of the toughest teams in 6A football. And then you got a lot of other really talented football teams in this region as well, with McAdory and the Tuscaloosa City schools, and then Bessemer City as well.
I mentioned that top four, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know one of your goals is to get Brookwood into the 6A state playoffs. Do you think you have a team that, if you play to your potential, can contend for a state playoff spot this year?
Well, that's certainly one of our goals. I always when I went up to Priceville, I told them I don't believe really in the rebuilding year thought process. For me, it's always, hey, we're trying to compete to be in the playoff spot, and that's the expectations I want to set around here.
You mentioned the staff, the school administration, everybody being on the same page, big part of you coming back. Also, that beautiful football field, Billy Joe Young field, and to get that new football field and come back to that from when you left, how big a aspect of that was, did that play into your decision? Because that's a beautiful facility.
It did. When I was coaching here last, about 5 years ago, it was, when you walked into the old field house, it felt like I walked into a time capsule. Nothing had changed. It was almost identical to when I had played there. And so then, coming back this time around and seeing the new facilities, the new weight room, the new indoor, and then a beautiful turf field that's built out there. We feel like we got as good of 6A facilities as anyone in the state.
And you've also got a community that's hungry for a winner. Like you said, these are your people. You know them. But it's a great community. They want to support Brookwood Athletics, and they want a winner on the football field. How important is that to have the community support and know that they're going to be behind you and turning out in big numbers, beginning tomorrow night?
I think that's one of the big bright spots of Brookwood is that, obviously Brookwood's had a lot of down years, and even through those tough times, I've always felt like the community came out and supported the program. There's been several times where you see we have more away fans than home fans at opposing teams' fields, and I just hope that we can continue that support. Obviously, when I was going through school, I remember back in 1999, it was probably best year and was one of the best years in the school's history, and the turnout throughout that entire run for that team was incredible. And so, obviously, if we can get this program turned around in that time and become a consistent playoff contender, I think the crowds will show up and support it as well.
Brookwood head coach Chris Foster with us as we continue our high school previews. All right, let's talk schemes offensively. What do you guys run? What's going to be the personality of a Brookwood Chris Foster coached offense?
I think we'll be a smash mouth football team. I guess we kind of base out of the single wing kind of stuff. So we're
you are an old lineman, aren't you?
I am, and that's when I go about thinking about what works best for this school. It's always a thought through those lens of being an offensive lineman and what can we do to help make them the most successful out on the field.
Defensively, what do you guys like to do?
Defensively, we'll base out of an odd front. We believe in getting as many athletes as we can out there on the defense and just flying around, being simple and sound, and flying around to the football.
Jasper tomorrow night, then you get a rivalry game in week 2 before you get into your region play. I know when West Blockton and Brookwood get together, it's a special football game. I know you got to get through, the Jasper Vikings first, but what about that second week game when you travel down to West Blockton?
Yeah, I hadn't had a whole lot of time to think about the West Blockton game, but it's always a fun rivalry. It's probably one of the better ones that Brookwood has. So it will be fun when it gets here, but obviously we're focused on the Jasper game that is coming up tomorrow night.
And lastly, Coach, as a high school football coach, it's not just about Brookwood. I know all you coaches are, looking at the way things have changed and whether or not we're going to go to, whether you call it open enrollment or free to choose, however we're going to do it. High school NIL, a lot is going on. Change at the leadership of the AHSAAA. As a football coach and as an educator, do you feel good about high school football and where we're headed in the state of Alabama?
It's tough. I really like to see when you keep communities and programs together. I think it's important to play for the community you're growing up in and representing those people out on the field. When you kind of get the open borders and open school plan enrollments and things like that, and I think it kind of diminishes the game a little bit.
Well, we know one thing. You guys will adjust, and hopefully high school football is going to be around many years to come because it's a big part of what we are in this state and this region for sure. All right, Coach, appreciate your time, man. Good luck to you this season. We'll be talking to you down the road.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, head coach Chris Foster, Brookwood Panthers, with our high school football preview. It is 12 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock here on the Gary Harris Show, and the weekend is coming up, and it's the last weekend without college football as far as the SEC is concerned, but that means it's a great opportunity to play some golf. You know what I mean? Weather's going to be good this weekend. How about heading on out to Tall Pines Golf Club in beautiful East Tuscaloosa in the Woodland Forest neighborhood? They're free to, not free, but free for public play. You can play at Tall Pines. You can book a tee time, or you can become a member as well. The number to book a tee time is 205-556-1232. It's in great shape out there right now, so get out there and play a round of golf. Also look into a membership. They also have the swimming pool and clubhouse and more at Tall Pines Golf Course in the Woodland Forest neighborhood of East Tuscaloosa. All right, we'll be back with more of the Gary Harris Show. And I know we've had some phone calls, and we weren't able to take them because I had a guest or we were into the top of the hour. But phone lines will be open in the next segment on the Pinnacle Park and North River hotline at 205-342-9904. That's 205.
You buy a select tool at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Limit 1 per transactions. Exclusions apply. Full eligible tool list in store and online.
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And, of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy hour specials.
$900. Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or check us out online, bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88. The low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Tide 100.9.
All right, 10:17. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. Jess Spiegel coming up in the next segment from ABC 3340. Right now, we're going to jump out on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline. A reminder that Pinnacle Park at North River, beautiful gated townhome community near gorgeous Lake Tuscaloosa. Got to see these townhomes to believe them. Uniquely fashioned with terrific architecture. Beautiful, beautiful place to live. Find out more at pinnacleparknr.com. Tell them you heard about it on the Gary Harris Show. All right, Mike from down in Opelika is with us. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, Gary. How are you doing?
Doing great. Did you get your table filled up for the
No, Tom and Philip, they had conflicts, and I've had a couple of people say they were going to get back with me, but I still have three spots. So,
well, folks, listen up now. Mike is being very gracious here. This University Church of Christ pigskin kickoff on Monday night at the University Church of Christ is a special event. John Hanna does not do a lot of these. He's the featured speaker. Also, Cedric Burns, Alabama Athletics Relations Coordinator. Everybody follows Alabama football knows Cedric. Our own Ryan Fowler is going to have a Q&A with Alabama men's basketball coach Nate Oates. Doors open at 5:15. Food served when the doors open. The program begins at 6 o'clock. This is a big event, and Mike has some tickets to his table available. He's trying to fill up his table. So once again, folks, if you want to join Mike, and if you're an Alabama fan, this is something you really ought to look at doing. And I'll get Mike to give out his phone number before we close out the segment again. But yeah, get in touch with him and fill that place up, because man, I'm telling you again, Mike, John Hanna does not do a lot of these, so this is a big deal.
I was shocked when I heard he was going to speak, so I'm looking forward to it. But I want to talk about Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
Last year, I don't mind admitting I got so frustrated. You know, you would go to games and you'd see he'd miss wide open receivers. He wouldn't run when he had an opportunity. But I looked at Bo Nix, you know, when he got to Oregon and got under a true offensive-minded OC and a good quarterback coach, which Jalen did not have that last year, and then goes on to Denver and gets good coaching. He doesn't look like the same player that he was at Auburn. And I think Jalen is going to flourish under a true quarterback coach and a good offensive coordinator. What do you think?
Well, I definitely think he's going to take a step up. I think this offense is going to suit him very, very well. I thought last year was a feeling out process. I thought that Tommy Rees did a good job of adjusting as the season went on. I certainly agree with you early in the year. I don't think that they really had suited the offense to Jalen's skill set. And then after the near disaster at South Florida, I think they made a commitment then that Jalen was going to be the quarterback, and I think he got better. But I do think this offense is, I think it's quarterback friendly, and I think that there'll be a nice balance between his throwing, and I think there's going to be a lot of route combinations. They're going to have guys wide open, and I think they'll also do a good job of using his legs. I think they want defenses to fear his ability to run. So I've already said it, Mike. I think that Jalen Milroe will be in New York for the Heisman ceremony. I think he'll be a Heisman finalist. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. So by saying that, you know what I think. I think he's going to be a dynamic player this year and one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Absolutely. Let me ask you real quick about this communication in the helmet. If you were an OC, you say you get a first down, would you rush up and call a play, or would you wait, show a formation, let it hit 15 seconds, and then shift or go in motion to a different formation?
Say that again now, Mike.
Well, say you're an offensive coordinator and you get a first down. You can communicate with one player for till 15 seconds. And I'm saying, would you do a hurry up before they really can't communicate, or would you show show a formation?
Okay, so what you're saying is the other coaching staff, the defensive coaches, talking to their inside linebacker, whoever it is they communicate with, trying to throw them off by using tempo. Yeah, I think that whatever tricks can be used to keep the defense off guard, this offensive staff with Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan will know them. And I think that they will and whether it's using movement, pre-snap movement, or, formations, or like you said, trying to get the playoffs so that the defensive signal caller can't have communication with the sideline. I think they're going to do whatever they need to do to try to make this offense be the best it can be. I'm looking forward to seeing this offense. I think it's going to be dynamic. Again, I think Jalen Milroe is going to have a fantastic season. I think he's got three of the best running backs in the country behind him. I think this wide receiving core, while you don't know many of the names, I think that you'll know the names a few weeks into the season. I think the tight ends are solid. I think the offensive line is going to have a good year. So I think everything is there for Jalen Milroe to flourish, and I think that he will, Mike. And I think you're onto something with him this year. I think that he's going to be fantastic.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Gary.
Hey, hang on, Mike. Go ahead and give your phone number one more time or a couple times so people can, if they want to go to that University Church of Christ Pigskin kickoff on Monday night. Mike's got 3 seats available at his table. He's not going to charge you anything. He just wants to fill the table up. So go ahead and give the number so they can get in touch with you.
All right. It's 205-516-3861. That's 205-516-3861. And thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you, Mike. Always good to hear from you. And again, folks, if you want to go to that big event, and it's not cheap to get a table. So the fact that Mike has got a table and is willing to let people enjoy it with him, that's a big deal. So I would encourage you, if you want to go to this great event with John Hanna and Nate Oates, talk some football. Obviously, there'll be some basketball discussion as well, that you give Mike a call. And again, that number, 205-516-3861, 205-516-3861. That's our pal Mike from Opelika. And that's Monday night, the University Church of Christ Pigskin kickoff. All right, 10:24 here on the Gary Harris Show. And NFL-wise, we've talked a lot this week about Tua coming out and really blasting his former head coach, Brian Flores. I mean, not holding anything back. And then Brian Flores, who's now the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, and who has a lawsuit against the NFL right now, by the way. A discrimination lawsuit. But he came out and responded to Tua, and, he took the high road, which I can't imagine anything else. I mean, you don't want to kind of get in a war of words with Tua. This all goes back to when Flores was the coach at the Dolphins. He wanted Justin Herbert, and the Dolphins went with Tua, and he didn't like it. But you can't take that out on the quarterback, and your job as head coach is try to develop Tua, and I'm not sure that he tried to do that, and Tua remembers that. Now, in Flores' defense, he's more of a defensive coach, and I just think that he just didn't feel like Tua fit what he wanted to do, but that doesn't matter. You're the coach. Try to make it work with the quarterback that you have, and that's your job. Now, I was a little surprised Tua was verbally as strong in his comments against Flores as he was, but obviously there was some pent-up frustration there. Flores, though, when he came out, I thought, he did handle it the right way. He said he was genuinely happy for Tua's success, and he wished him well. He said he was going to look at what happened in Miami to try to make himself a better coach. So I give him credit for that, because you could have come back with a little stronger rebuttal. Because, again, if you missed it, we played it earlier. This is what Tua had to say about Brian Flores. Well, to put it in simplest terms, if you woke up every morning and I told you that you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right. And then he said, if you have somebody else come in, and Mike McDaniel, and says, dude, you are the best fit for this, like you are accurate, you are the best, whatever, you are this, you are that. Like, how would it make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? So in other words, he's saying that he was beat down by Flores and he gets positive feedback from Mike McDaniels. The good news for Tua is he's the quarterback in Miami. He's got a long-term contract, and Mike McDaniels is his head coach. The good news for Brian Flores is, despite having a lawsuit against the NFL, he's coaching as a defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. So both have moved on. And that's what you have to do. This isn't the only situation where a head coach and quarterback don't see eye to eye. They happen. You don't see a quarterback very often come out with as stronger comments as Tua did toward the former head coach. But I think he just felt like that, he wanted to explain to some degree why he struggled early in his career. And also, of course, the concussions as well. But now it's clear sailing for Tua and the Dolphins, and I think they're going to have a really good team. All right, it's 10:28 here on the Gary Harris Show. And Billy's Sports Grill in downtown historic Northport, what a great place to eat. What a great place to hang out. That patio on a beautiful day like this is going to be wrapped up for lunch. The food is fantastic. The service is top-notch. People see me there.
These changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
All right, 10:31 here on the Gary Harris Show. Welcome back in here on the program, and it is time for Jeff Spiegel. Spiegs time on the show, and we're going to jump out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline and welcome in the longtime sports anchor and host of The Zone on ABC 3340 for his weekly segment, and we are pumped up because high school football is back. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Gary. How you doing?
Doing great, man. We've got week 0. I know you and I on the team. I hate week 0 from the standpoint. I like the concept, but it's week 0. But for our football shows that we do, it's week 1, and so every week you're balancing. It's week 2, but for our show it's week 3. And week 0, when it started out, remember we'd have about half the teams play. A lot of them wouldn't play. A lot of them would wait until week 1. But now pretty much everybody's playing. So why are we still calling it week 0?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 0, brings back bad memories from high school days anyway. So I usually don't like to refer to the number 0, but no, I mean, it's just like, ready or not, here we come. I was talking to the Pelham football coach last night. We have a little radio station, here in town that does their coaches show. And I said, you ready? And he goes, well, if I'm not, it's too late now, because it's coming up here tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, I love Coach Vickery. He was here at Northridge, as you know, before he went to Pelham. He's done a really good job there and done a good job everywhere he's been. Yeah, it's really starting tonight for us. Kind of a preview of before tomorrow night. And, of course, one of the big games, not just in the state but in the country, is Grayson, Georgia, coming over with a stacked roster to play the Thompson Warriors in Alabaster with a stacked roster. This is good on good. This is big boy football. This is one of the top programs in the state of Georgia taking on one of the top programs in the state of Alabama. What a way to kick it off.
Yeah, Gary, and Thompson's got to send a message here. I mean, on national TV, for the world to see, because they were on a roll at 4 straight state championships, and then Central Phoenix City knocked them off last year. And we talked to Mark Freeman, a couple of weeks ago at Media Day, and he said, look, you can talk to these kids all day long about how, it's not their birthright, to be a state champion, and that they got to go out and they got to earn it. But you know what? Till they get smacked in the mouth and they finish second, they don't listen as well as they do, after a failure, as Coach Saban used to say. But he said now, gosh, there's more guys listening in practice. There's more guys paying attention. There are more guys locked in. So, tonight, here we go. It's going to be a great showdown, at Warrior Stadium, and we'll see how the Warriors stack up against one of the, better teams in the country.
Well, how do you think they'll stack up? Do you think they're going to get the win tonight?
Well, I think they will. I think I've been hearing good things about Trent Seaborn's camp. He's just, looking, better and better. He's grown a little bit, more. He's not the baby-faced 8th grader that he was when he led them to a state title. And they've got a lot of playmakers, and they got so many, Fagan's back there, is just a great cover guy on defense. And plus, I think they're the 2 words I like to use that best describe Thompson this year is they're hungry and they're humble. And they haven't been humble in a long, long time, but they're humble this year.
Interesting. It's also week 0 for college football, and this week 0 is a more representative of what we would think of a week 0. Just a few games, just a scattering of games. But there is a big one in the ACC with Florida State taking on Georgia Tech over in Dublin, Ireland on Saturday morning our time. And this is I had Coach Ellis Johnson on earlier. He said as a coach, he would hate this, to have to travel across the pond and you're playing a conference game, a big game like that to start the season. Obviously, it's good for college football, but what do you think of this matchup? Florida State's a 10.5-point favorite, but Georgia Tech, I think, has got basically their entire roster back from a year ago. Should the Seminoles be on upset alert?
Well, you couldn't have a more neutral field, could you?
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah. And I love what Georgia Tech's done. I love what Georgia Tech's doing. I love Brent Key. I mean, I just love that guy. He's a former Hewitt Trustful Husky. And, he did some coaching under Nick Saban in Alabama. So he's building something special there. Not too long ago, there was a headline, Georgia Tech gets their first 5-star commitment, like in the recruiting era that we know it now. And so he's building something special there. And if they get Florida State not on their A game, yeah, they could knock it off. And wouldn't that be a great plane ride home from Ireland?
You better believe it. Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch because it's Saturday morning and people are ready for football. But there's a game that is kind of being obviously overlooked with really just a few games on the schedule. But our old buddy Rhett Lashley and SMU moving into the ACC, they travel out to Nevada, kind of under the radar on Saturday night on the CBS Sports Network. This is one where, you look at it and you're like, they're playing at Nevada in week 0, but it's a chance right off the bat for SMU to make a statement.
Yeah, it really is. And, beware the Wolfpack, right?
Yeah,
That's what they're called, right? Nevada Wolfpack.
Nevada Wolfpack, yeah.
No, this guy's a rising star in the coaching profession. And he just, he kind of made a statement too, at ACC Media Days that they don't fear anybody. They're pretty confident, they can go in and make some noise in this league. And of course, at the same time, it's like you can talk all that, but you got to back it up. So, this will be a good test for them, a good little road game for them, and a good measuring stick for them. And then, before too long, they'll get in there and start swapping punches, with the ACC guys. But I've always liked Rhett Lashley ever since he was the OC, at Auburn. I felt like there was a tug of war, as there always has been, between Gus and his offensive coordinators. But at the same time, I think everyone who watched Rhett Lashley operate knew that this guy was going to do some cool things in the coaching profession.
Jeff, as we get into week 1, we're going to have Thursday night, Friday night, and of course, obviously Saturday games. But a lot of these teams trying to get a jump on the schedule and get some exposure. And a couple of them are UAB and Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State hosting Coastal Carolina, and UAB hosting Alcorn State next Thursday night to get the season started.
Well, UAB is going to win in a walkover. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And that'll be, just a tune-up thing for them. The Jack State Coastal Carolina game, is a lot more interesting. And, I talked to Rich Rodriguez last Friday. I was emceeing a breakfast in Birmingham that he spoke at, and he loves his team. I mean, he's very excited about what they can do this year. And they've got a quarterback battle there. And, and he said, look, we can we'll play 3 quarterbacks, if we have to. I mean, Rich is not afraid to shuffle quarterbacks in and out. It's kind of like watching Bear Bryant back in the 70s, with all those quarterbacks that he had. And so I think Rich Rod has got something really cool happening there. They've got this huge locker room they opened. They've done some renovations to the stadium, and there's a lot of excitement there in Gamecock country over this football team. And they want to prove to everyone that, last year wasn't just a flash in the pan. And there's more incentive this year, too, because this year, they're eligible for a conference championship. They weren't last year because it was a play-in year. So there's a lot out there for Jack State to get and a lot more attention for them to garner.
Jeff, even though it was lower-level football, Birmingham Southern, man, was beautiful little stadium and had a dedicated fan following. Does it feel weird that there's no Panther football? There's no Birmingham Southern, but there's no Panther football this fall?
I think more people miss the baseball team. I think people were in love with the baseball team and what they did there. I'll be totally honest, Gary. As far as the Birmingham area and coverage of Birmingham Southern, it dropped off drastically when they pulled the plug on D1 Sports and dropped down to Division III, and it just it put them on the back page, and that's a shame too. And I've talked to a lot of guys who coached sports for Birmingham Southern during that era, and it was a punch in the gut, and it's a punch in the gut that none of those guys have gotten over. And so I think that was the unfortunate part in Birmingham Southern's athletic history, that they could have done so much. Now, had they stayed in Division I, would they have run into some financial issues, long ago? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But it was kind of disheartening to a lot of guys that, that when they went from Division I to III.
Jeff Spiegel with the sports anchor, ABC 3340, host of The Zone. What's the outlook for Chris Hatcher and the Sanford Bulldogs, Jeff, this season?
Well, I mean, I think it's really good. I mean, I think, Chris is always going to be able to, to get some offense going. Mm-hmm. And they've had, they've got, a quarterback battle going over there too that they're trying to figure out. And, it's just Chris is always going to have some offense. And defensively, they're going to be pretty good too. So, and if you think about it, you look at Samford and the defensive guys they put in the NFL, and the guys that are still playing in the NFL, and it's a good little program. And I've always told people, look, and we've talked about this before on the show, that look, you can go to Alabama and Auburn and you can drop like a bunch of money and go watch a football game. But man, if you want to see some really good quality football and some real quality coaching, on the lower level, if you will, then you could drive to Jacksonville and you could drive to, to Samford and go to Pete Hanna Stadium and watch some pretty good product as well.
Jeff, let's change gears and talk a little Braves baseball, because this isn't football. I mean, injuries over a 162-game season, but to have the number of big injuries the Braves have had, the latest, of course, coming with Austin Riley, who basically is going to miss the rest of the regular season, it looks like, or most of it. If the Braves get in the playoffs, he may be able to go. But last night still, they had a chance to win 5 of the Phils. They were up 2-0. They lost a tough one 3-2. But it's just, I don't know that I've seen a baseball season like this. Of course, we focused on the Braves, but for any team to have this many top guys go down for as many games as the Braves have been hit by. Yet they're hanging in there. I don't think they're going to win the division. They've got to try to hold off the Mets and others for the wild card. But your perspective on, Riley gets hit in the hand. I mean, it just won't seem to end for this team. Yeah, they're so snake bit. I mean, it really is unfortunate and very frustrating, if you're a Braves fan and watching this. And then, as you mentioned, just having a close call, against the Phillies, who's the best team, one of the best teams in baseball. So, if they could just hang on, if they can hang on and get in the wild card race and just piece something together, I mean, who knows what could happen once you get in the playoffs in those, short series. But gosh, it's just, you get to a point where, what else bad can happen? And then something else bad happens. So it's just, it's been a crazy year to watch for sure. And lastly, from the NFL, your take on the Tua Brian Flores situation. I mean, we knew Tua didn't fit the system for Brian Flores. Brian Flores wanted Justin Herbert. Regardless, Tua was his quarterback, and Flores didn't seem like he wanted to try to make it work. Tua gets, Flores is out of there, and Tua establishes himself as the guy, gets the contract. But it's rare for a quarterback to come out that publicly and blast his former head coach the way that Tua did. What was your take on that? Well, it just seems to me that there are so many good things, that you can talk about, if you're Tua, when you're talking about the Dolphins. I mean, you could talk about, just how much better you are, physically and mentally and all that stuff, how much better your team is and the hope that you have, going into the season and all of that. But instead, you gotta torch, a former coach like that. And it just didn't come off as just, very, very mature. It just didn't seem like, I don't know. We've seen Tua kind of go, get a little testy, at press conferences before. And this is one of those cases where, he had this to unload and gosh, look, I hope it made him feel better that he got all that stuff off his chest, because it was a pretty brutal attack, on his former coach. And I understand it was kind of a miserable situation, for him, but I don't know. And from my perspective, it would have been better just to focus on the good, man, and what you got good coming up rather than focus on ancient history. I'm kind of with you a little bit, but he obviously just felt like he needed to get it off his chest, but no excuses now. He's got the contract. The Dolphins have a really good team. He's got the weapons on offense. They need to do something. I mean, they need to not just get in the playoffs. They need to win some playoff games. So that's the flip side of this, Jeff, is now, you've got an offensive head coach. You got everything in place. It's on Tua this year to deliver for that team. And if he doesn't, then, all this stuff could come back on him, but they are really, really strong. Hey, man, I know you're really strong, too, every Sunday night on the Zone. And with football back, I can't imagine how loaded you're going to be this Sunday night.
Well, Gary, another thing, Tua better watch out for the second coming of John Elway now that Bo Nix has been named the quarterback.
I should ask you about Bo. No, we got a minute. I talked about it yesterday. Yeah, Bo, another guy who got out of Auburn because it just wasn't going the way he had hoped, goes to Oregon, is that 12th overall pick, the 6th quarterback taken in the first round, which is an amazing number, and gets the starting job there with the Broncos. Big deal.
Yeah. And, of course, there were a lot of doubters. And, Bo's run into this before. But good for him. Very happy for him. So, yeah, we'll be talking about that Sunday. And then we'll lock in on these games, coming up with Alabama, Auburn, UAB, Jack State, and all that. On the Zone Sunday at 10:30 on ABC 3340. Gary, appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate you, Jeff. Weekend. And if I leave out something key like that, I'm glad you butted in and get that. I needed to get that in with Bo Nix for you because that's a big deal here in the state of Alabama, particularly for Auburn, who has not had a ton of NFL starting quarterbacks. So even I guess technically he's an Oregon guy, but he's an Auburn guy. You know what I mean, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And a Pinson Valley guy.
That's right, Pinson Valley State champion. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, man.
All right, it is 10:49 here on the Gary Harris Show. Hey, Mike from Opelika texted me. Thanks, everybody, for taking advantage of this great opportunity, but he has filled his seats for the University Church of Christ Pigskin kickoff on Monday evening. So people... And I don't blame you at all. If I wasn't working, of course, we'll be covering it, but that's an event I would want to be at listening to John Hanna. So his seats have been filled at his table. All right, we're going to take our final time out. We are open for phone calls in the next segment. I know we've had some calls come in while we have not been able to take them, but if you want to give us a call in this final segment, we can work you in. We'll be back after this. If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa at Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours.
Deodorant.com, code SUPER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME Deodorant.com, code SUPER to save 15% today.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88, the low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
10:53, welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. I'm so glad Jeff mentioned Bo Nix winning that starting job with the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton naming him the starter yesterday because I did something on my TV sports about it last night, and it would have certainly been remiss if I didn't mention that here on my show. So thank you, Jeff, because that's pretty awesome for Bo Nix. I predicted that he would be a first-round pick this past year. I was one of the few people that picked it. Remember, I know you weren't here, Chase, but I predicted that we'd have 6 quarterbacks go in the first round, and we did. And Bo Nix was one of them, and now he's a starter for the Denver Broncos. So that's a pretty cool story. All right, let's jump out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline and welcome in Pat. Good morning, Pat.
Man, hey, I'm happy for the Nix kid, too. I mean, bless his heart that he chose Auburn in the first place. God love him. But it finally worked out for him, and getting a chance to go to Oregon and show what he could do, because they didn't know how to use him down there. But I'm just happy for him. I really am. But have you been doing that? Having a job that's not a job, the last 16, 17 years, you've been able to go to work every day and not really go to work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm with you. I tell people all the time that, look at my hands. You're not going to find any calluses on my hands. I don't do real work. You're right. But it has its own challenges. It's like, I've got a little anxiety and stress, even though I've been doing it for many years. This first high school show for tomorrow night, it's an hour show, Football Friday from 10:30 to 11:30. Pat, and I'm behind on it, as I am every first show, and I got to get it. It's all got to come together here. But you're right. I'm blessed to be able to talk about sports on the radio and TV, and it's special. That's why you see so many people that, since we've had the invention of the internet, that get podcasts and YouTube shows and everything else. Everybody wants to do this, and now more people get to do it than used to when we just had traditional media. So, but no, I'm blessed, Pat. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but while I got you, I do want to throw out a scenario there. If we can come out of September undefeated, you think that would get Justice Terry and perhaps Lockett, or better yet, DeCorian Moore to reevaluate their situation? I think it helps with recruiting. I do. I think if you come out and you have a great start to your season with a new coaching staff, at the same time, I think recruiting is, especially in the NIL era, is fickle. I think sometimes teams that are struggling can recruit really well because they can promise playing time, and they can make we got to have you type of play at the guy. We need you. You can change things around for us, and they can come up with NIL money. So there's a lot of different reasons now that kids go to certain schools. At the same time, I think if Alabama can come out and go 4-0, that means wins at Wisconsin and home over Georgia. Yeah, I think that could be a push for whether it's a Justice Terry or somebody else. If there's a top prospect out there that Alabama's recruiting, you can continue to show that this is going to be a national championship caliber program. It certainly doesn't hurt. Yeah, well, I hope that. Of course, I won't have to ask them to be loud, but I want Alabama fans to be so loud at the Georgia game that we break that decimal meter that we set when Florida came in back when Coach Shula was coaching, and that it was loud that day when we beat Florida.
Yeah, it was. You're talking about 2005, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Brody Kroll hit pro throw on that bomb. Yeah, that place. I was there. That place was rocking that day. It was shaking. You're right. It was absolutely I tell people all the time, Pat, and and we got to get going here, but home field advantage to me is more dictated by the type of team you have. To me, Bryant-Denny is one of the toughest places in the country to play because Alabama's always so good. But when that crowd is into it, another game was 2011 LSU, even though Bama lost that 9-6 in overtime. That place was going. But when that was loud. But when you think about how good the team is and you add in the crowd, particularly at night, it can get crazy. Hey, thank you, Pat. Got to go, buddy.
Yep, we got to get Ty Jackson, and he's coming to the Georgia game.
Yeah, he's a good-looking linebacker. All right, it is. Thank you. Sir. Time to close it out for today. Reminder, I'll be back tomorrow with the TGIF edition. Chris Stewart, voice of the Crimson Tide, is going to join us to preview the Alabama football season. He'll be with us tomorrow morning, as well as Larry the Music Man and Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Report. So big Friday coming up on the Gary Harris Show. T-Town Sports Daily is coming up next. Catch me on TV tonight on WVOA 23 at 10 o'clock tonight. High school football is back. We'll have highlights from several games tonight at 10 o'clock on WVOA 23 Sports. For Chase Brumfeld, I'm Gary Harris. A great day, everybody. Talk to you again tomorrow.